Bam 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 I'm so tempted to sing like another 4 or 5 Yantev Deka Nigunim. You know, yesterday in Shachris, I was in Zayit Ranan, and when I went up to Duchen, so it's, the Chazan was saying the Chol HaChaim. No, you're saying, Atav ki l'chol rachmech v'nachem ki l'sam chasadecha, me'al kulam yisparach v'yisam v'yisnas Hashem chamakeinu Torah Eilam Doed. And I think I started, and then I was looking at the talis, someone who heard me besides like Mordechai Weiss maybe, but no. We have this, this is a very, it's what we're going to be talking about right now. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is still very much part of the moment right now. Oh, I didn't even give these out yet. But I wanted to address, basically, more or less, I think the obvious. If you could pass these out, Chaverim. Thank you so much. Yeah. I want to address the obvious, and the obvious is that these are days of very, very delicate energy. Wait, first of all, Slicha, I want to thank the sponsor. Should have a Be'ezer Hashem continued refuah shlema. Thank you so much, Be'ezer Hashem, for many more years. Should feel strong and healthy, David Yeshua. Yeshua Koyach. We're also continuing to learn refuah shlema b'shem Kol Yisrael. We're going to continue to learn for Yehudit Bat Sarah, and she should have a refuah shlema, a complete healing, Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach. B'toch Shar Chol Yisrael. Okay, so this is what I wanted to address. We're going to take a break from the Sefer we've been doing, because this Shabbos is a very, like I said, I think that the best word I could find would be the word delicate. And it goes back to a din that we learn regarding mikvah. We were learning this in the women's shir as a hachana for Yom Kippur. But when you're in a mikvah, when is the din of tahara chal on you? Like, when are you considered tahor? When you come out, not when you're in. The chalois sounds, I know it sounds very lumdish right now. I'm not trying to make it too lumdish, but the chalos, meaning I don't know what's the right word what would you say chalos? And the effectiveness of tahara is not when you're in the water. It's when you come out of the water. That the din, the shame, tahor, is applicable to you. So Yom Kippur is a mikvah, and the tahara is when you come out of the water. And we were learning a piece that no one is supposed to live in water. Well, you can't. There's no Indian, even a Yid. As much as we'd say, "Oh, I would love to live Yom Kippur all year long," you wouldn't after 2 or 3 days. But there is something in there that we have this like beautiful memory of the last, especially the Chevra. I just want to thank the Chevra that were here on Yom Kippur. So it was family business. It was like ridiculous, and I hope wherever anyone was, it was just. I'm sure it was a mikvah wherever you were. But now we're coming out, and these days that we're in right now, we come out can open the door for some of the most intense and most disappointing moments in our life as well. Because if you're going to compare anything to the way you were when you're in the water, you're already out of the ballgame. Pashut meod. So these days are very sensitive days, and I wanted to see something that's a yesod by both Reb Tzadok and the Slonimer, but to see how the Kohen takes it to another place. And it's a piece, the Kohen's piece, Rav Kook's piece that we're going to see today, it really makes us feel aligned with this Zman right now. These days right now, which are like, obviously, the word is, these are days that are not really from the cheshbon avonos. These are days they're free of something, but they're there for kind of like the soul and the body to re-meet in a certain way, and that it shouldn't be too intense. It's going to be intense anyway, but we're going to try to make it as smooth as possible, this rejoining of the Nefesh Ruch, basically the Yechida, which is where we met in Ne'ilah, coming back to the Guf. And that's a very deep thing. And it's a very important avoda. I could tell you personally, yesterday I was talking about it with Chaim before, yesterday was such a bizarre day, it was such a difficult day. And even though I told myself already, Motzei Yom Kippur, tomorrow, expect weirdness. even if you're going to be filling it with mitzvahs of Daled Minim and Sukkah, expect weirdness. With all the hachanas of expect weirdness, it's like, okay, it wasn't weird, it was, ugh. It wasn't even, like, weird is like, huh. This was like, ugh. It was like, I don't know what it was exactly. I woke up this morning, my Heilige Nachman. My Heilige Nachman is like, Chasidim Rishonim hayu shoyim shah achas lifnei, right? So Nate's is whatever, an hour before Nate's, Nachman's already ready to go. And I knew, even today, it's going to be, but at least, I'm with the brothers, so it's already like, okay, we're all in this together, unless I'm the only person in this room right now that can relate to what I said until now. But I don't think so. So, I want you to look at the first piece. Now, this piece from Reb Tzadok is actually about Shabbos Shuvah, but because this is a Achana l'Shabbos Shir, and obviously this is going to tie in a lot of the inyanim we've been learning for the last few months, the effectivity, Reb David, effectiveness. What Shabbos is doing to us on all levels is every Shabbos. But specifically, this is a piece Reb Tzadok says about Shabbos Shuvah. And I dafka wanted to say this because of the following piece. But first, let's look at the words of the Kohen of Lublin. Reb Tzadok says like this: B'chol Shabbos mofia his'orerus tshuva belev ha'adam. Every Shabbos brings a his'orerus of tshuva in the heart of man. U'beyichud b'Shabbos, he said specifically the first Shabbos of the year, last Shabbos, Shu Shabbos Harishon Shel HaBriya, right? Rosh Hashanah was, what day of the Bria was Rosh Hashanah? We learned this. Six. It was Yom Shishi. So Shabbos Shuvah, whenever that happens, is the first Shabbos of after Bria Sa'adam, right? This last year didn't come up to be Friday then Shabbos, but whatever it is, the first Shabbos of the year has, of course, some kind of Yisraelus Belev. Mofia koach tshuva beyeser se'es, v'lachen nikra Shabbos tshuva. That's why, one of the reasons why the first Shabbos of the year is called Shabbos Tshuva, and he goes into a whole thing of Adam HaRishon experiencing Tshuva for the first time. A human being experienced Tshuva. It was right then by Erev Shabbos. So every single Friday night, we have an awakening in our hearts of, it's so beautiful to want to be better, and it's so beautiful to feel like I'm better. Every Shabbos. The headquarters of that is the first Shabbos of the year. But there's a nikud I want to get to in this piece. Look inside, the end of the second line. V'alidei koach his'orerus hatshuva, shemofia b'nefashos Yisrael b'Shabbos zeh, alidei zeh nishpa ha'aras hatshuva b'chol sheshis ha'maaseh shel haShabbos hazeh milefanav u'mileachrav min Rosh Hashanah ad Yom Kippur. Shabbos, when we get our Shabbos on, what is it basically affecting? What Reb Tzadok just said right now. It's so powerful, so it's also backwards. It affects, it like elevates whatever was previously in the week, and it also affects what's going to be. So the first Shabbos of the year means that it contains within it the Kedusha, this is Reb Tzadok's Chiddush, to male Rosh Hashanah, which is crazy, and to also set up the stage and male what was going to be after the first Shabbos, which is Yom Kippur. And he bases it on the following beautiful thing. So we say every Friday night, Shamar v'zachar b'dibur echad. What is that referring to? Shamar v'zachar? Anyone know? The two different dibros, Yisro and Va'eschanan. Right? Zachar and Shamar. Shamar and Zachar. So when it says, Al yedei kedusha zachar shel Shabbos, through the kedusha of remembering Shabbos, Nishpa ha'ara al sheshes himayis shemilufanea. Through this word of zachar is remember the Shabbos. I remember remembering has to do with the past, so I take the past and I lift it up. V'alidei kedushas shamar, and through the kedusha of the word shamar, to guard, that means for the future. Nishpa me'aharas kedushas Shabbos al sheshes himayis shel achareh. Zachar is about what was. Shamor is about preparing for what will be. So I take the past, lift it up. I take the future, I lift it up. Boom, Shabbos. Therefore, we understand how Shabbos is not the end of the week or the beginning of the week. Shabbos is the emtza of the week, kivyachol. Shabbos is the emtza because it's affecting the back and the forward. Okay. Now, if you said that about Shabbos Shuvah, you could imagine what's going to happen now with this Shabbos that we're in right now. because we have the same concept. What was behind us? Yom Kippur. How does one elevate Yom Kippur? And how does one elevate Kivyachol Sukkos? So look at these beautiful words by the Netivot Shama. This is just gorgeous words. Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh Zu. Shebein Yom Kippurim L'chag Sukkos, Kedushas Gavoa Me'od, this holiness of the Shabbos that we're going in right now is not, people like to call it the bridge Shabbos. I hate that. It's not a nice thing to say about Shabbos. Shabbos is not a bridge. It's like, well, we have to get through, you need a breather before Sukkos. You crazy? Chas v'sholom. It's not a breather before Sukkos. This Kedusha of this Shabbos that we're going into right now, it's such a gavoa. It's a very high Kedusha of this Shabbos. What is he referring to? B'Shabbos Kodesh yeshtei bechinos. Bechinos Yom HaShvi u'bechinos Shabbos. So Shabbos is the seventh day, and it's also the bechina of, it's its day on its own, Shabbos. Bechinas Yom HaShvi, when I say Shabbos is the seventh day, mityacheset v'nivnet misheshet yamim shel shavua she'avar. When I refer to Shabbos as Yom HaShvi, then what am I basically doing? What am I saying? This is the seventh day after a whole week, nachon? So it's the seventh day after a whole week. Im b'shavua she'avar haya bo chag, nimsheches kedushaso gam bayom hashvi. If the last week was a chag in it, its kedusha continues unto the seventh day, nachon? V'arei Shabbos she'acharei Yom Kippur, he od bechinas Yom Kippur. So he's saying, the Shabbos that's after Yom Kippur is like more of a bechina of Yom Kippur. Why? Again, Chavre, pay attention, because Yom HaShvi is in regards to what was the seventh day of what happened on the, in this case it would be, what is it? The fourth, right? The fourth day in the row of 7, there was Yom Kippur. So he's saying every time that it ends, that seventh has kolul in it, what the fourth was, and he brings it up. Similar to Reb Tzadok is saying. V'arei, fourth line, V'arei Shabbos shacharei Yom Kippurim hu od bechinas Yom Kippur. You still have what was. Ve'od yesh bechinas Shabbos hashayechet lashavua hamitchadesh uba. And you also have Shabbos that's shayach to the week that's about to come. They're basically saying kimat the same exact thing. B'chol Shabbos kodesh mitzchadeshes habriya l'sheishes yamim habayim. And every Shabbos, creation renews itself for the 6 days that are coming. Lefize, Shabbos zu, sheyesh ba gam he'aras Yom Kippur, ve'gam he'aras Chag Sukkos man simchasenu, since this Shabbos has within it also Yom Kippur, and try to remember, Chavra, try to remember what it felt like coming to Shul Kol Nidre. Try to remember what it felt like on Tet Tishrei. Try to remember the Regesh HaLev. Try to remember what it was like going to the mikveh Erev Yom Kippur. Try to remember certain moments of vidui. Try to remember certain moments of screaming Hashem Hu Elokim, what it was feeling like inside. That's still here this Shabbos, but what's also here is Man Simchaseinu, right? Whenever you say Simchaseinu, a chassid walks into the room. You ever notice that? Harei Shehi HaShabbos HaKadosha B'Yosei Bashana. So this is listen to these words. The Slonimer says, this is the holiest Shabbos of the year, he just said. Now listen, the Slonimer, it wasn't someone that was like, everyone will, 30 people walk into a room, oh, you're the holiest. He didn't mince his way. His words were very exact, the Slonimer Rebbe. He's not saying this about any other Shabbos. This is the holiest Shabbos of the year. This is the holiest Shabbos of the year. He's saying the Shabbos between Yom Kippur and Sukkot is the holiest Shabbos of the year. Shenichlalim ba shtei hakdushos hagvaos ma'od. Because both of these holinesses are both included in this Shabbos. So now, why is it also such a sensitive and delicate Shabbos? Because what we're trying to do is to make peace between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. We're trying to make shalom between these two bechinas. You could say, it's interesting. I wonder if Reb Tzadok would have seen the Slonimer, if he would be cholek on him. Or if I'm sure the Slonimer saw Reb Tzadok, because it seems that Reb Tzadok was saying exactly what we're saying, but about Rosh Hashanah, about Shabbos Shuvah. But I think that Rav Kook will help us understand why this Shabbos, more than any other Shabbos of the year, is a very sensitive thing. You'll see, if you haven't seen already, that Hevlei Olam Hazeh, not even Hevlei Olam Hazeh, that means vanities of this world. Even Dvarim Shebekdusha, but that have to do with Olam Hazeh stuff, if you don't feel like it's coming on right, you get agitated much faster. If you're amongst people and you hear them say something not nice, so you start to either judge them more harsh, or you start wondering, like the Baal Shem Tov's Torah, Hashem Tzilcha, you start wondering, wow, I must be really, really messed up if I could be a person that hears Dvarim B'Telim or Lashon Hara right after Yom Kippur. And you start to screen yourself much more harshly. And therefore, it's because we don't really know how to make shalom. You know what it says, this beautiful thing. It says that when the Kohen HaGadol, everyone talks about Emes Maneda Haya Kohen Gadol B'Tzeis Mibeis Kodshei HaKodashim. But then it says, the Mishnah says, V'yom Tov Haya Oseh, right? But it says, he had a chaver, or two chaverim, Melavim also ad Beisa. The Kohen Gadol had people escorting him, going home after he came out of the Kodesh Kodashim. The B'ditchev has a beautiful Torah. He says, the highest type of friend is not the one that knows how to fly with you, knows how to be in the mikveh with you. The highest type of friend, the best type of friend, is someone that also knows how to reintroduce you back to everything else that's around you. That chaver that escorted the Kohen Gadol back home, the B'ditchev says he was Kodesh Kodashim, because he played such a crucial role for the Kohen. The Kohen had to be married, for the Kohen to be able to have his kid jump on his lap and not feel like he's mevatel zman, which sometimes even happens to us. That chaver, that friend, he brought the Kohen back into this world. And we have to be that for each other right now in this Shabbos, because it isn't that simple. And Rav Kook will explain to us why. And I think it'll add up as to why the Slonimer could say this Shabbos is the holiest Shabbos of the year. So look at source number 3. And this is a combination of Oros HaTshuva Perek Yudalid, I believe. I think it's the 14th chapter in Oros HaTshuva, as well as a piece from Oros HaKodesh. I forgot to write the sourcing here. I'm sorry about that. Rav Kook says like this: Lifamim, al yedei shemit'amtzim liot mudbak beruchaniyut elyona. Sometimes, when I put so much effort into trying to be davuk, cling to a higher supernal spiritual state of being, mitromemim kol kochot ha'chaim haruchnim lemala be'olam ha'machshava ha'elyona, ve'haguf ne'ezav min ha'neshama. This is so powerful. We learned this, I don't expect anyone to remember this, we learned this about 9 years ago. But this is a very important few words. What happens is, all the kochos ha'chaim, all the things that I use in this world, all the strength I have to be me, to be alive, it goes up with my spiritual ascent. And it goes up there to the world of Machshava Elyona. I'm up there, I'm with the Kohen Gadol, and it's all real, and it's all holy, and it's all good. But you know who got neglected? B'chavana, this is how the Torah said to him. Who got neglected? The guf. So the guf is completely powerless. The guf has no shmira. The body, that's still part of us, has no shmira. V'alidei zeh, Rav Kook says, hamidot haro'ot sholtot bo. And then what happens when the guf has no shmira? Because all the koach of chaim, all my vitality, all my life force, where did it go to? It went to a holy place, hopefully, Be'ezer Hashem. But what got neglected is still, Adam Yesodo Me'afar, V'sof Alafar, Kehem Basar Vadam, like my body got neglected. That was the design. We didn't do anything wrong by doing that. It's part of the design. That's how Hashem wanted it. There's 5 inuim, there's 5 different afflictions a person has to go through on Yom Kippur. The shaila is, so how do I make shalom again with my guf? And also, Rav Kook is making us feel a little bit more sane. It feels normal for you to have a weird experience yesterday, let's say, for instance, with your stomach. It feels normal to have a headache. It feels normal to get agitated by things that you wouldn't normally get agitated by even more. It feels normal to be exhausted. All these things feel normal. Why? Because there was a complete neglect of anything that had to do with the shmira on the koach of my guf. So usually, my body is protected because the way I design my day is that I can eat. I can elevate it. I can eat holy. I can eat kosher. I can eat healthy. I can say brachas over something physical. So my guf is protected. I have all these brachas during the day that protect my guf. But on Yom Kippur, I don't have that at all. So Rav Kook says, all year long, there's a shmira over my body. One day a year, there's no shmira over your body. The midot ra'ot matchilot lishlot bo. So the bad midas, the bad traits, start to attack your body at a certain point. You want to say something, Eli?
Moshe goes up, he's higher than high. He's connected with all of the, but then he's up there, he's fasting, and he's in a different place. He has to go down.
And Hashem says, go down.
You can come up the second time after you learn the
That's interesting. Chazak מאוד. Ela, second paragraph, שהתרוממו הזו היא זמנית. As much as we would love to say, I want to live in a state of Yom Kippur, it's temporary. It's zmani. It's temporary. ואחר כך, Rav Kook says, כשההסתכלות הרוחנית העליונה נגמרת, אמס מהנהדר היה כהן גדול, the focus on the word, בצאתו, okay, you're out, נגמרת, this Hashem Elokim is nigmar. It's okay, Chazal in their infinite Rachmanis on us made such a big inyan of running to use our bodies to do mitzvahs, Motzei Yom Kippur, nachon? That's really what the whole inyan is. As the Mishnah Berurah brings, as the Shulchan Aruch brings down. But it's still temporary, this place of, I don't have to, listen, I obviously don't have the words because each of you experienced it in your own way. But standing before Hashem, just standing before Hashem, Lifnei Hashem titaru. But it's temporary. A Rishimu stays from it. But that ma'amad is temporary. ואחר כך, כשההסתכלות הרוחנית העליונה נגמרת, when that way of looking at the world just through spirituality finishes, the koach ha'chaim chozer la'regilut shelo, and the koach of life goes back to the way it normally is. Motzet ha'neshama et haguf shavur bekilkulei tchunotav. Neshama comes back to the body and says, what happened to you? Right? You know what this reminds me of? Reb Shlomo said that when his first daughter was born, he remembers one hargasha of the leiv more than any other hargasha. He said it was clear to him that he will never be able to do an avera again in his life. That's all he remembered, the moment he became a father. And he said, and the greatest shever was the moment that he realized that he did, right? So it's like, Be'ez Hashem, those of you that still will become abbas, you should have healthy children. Those of us that have been privileged to be abbas, we should be healthy abbas. And with healthy children, remember that moment. Remember that first moment. It was barur lanu that we're Mashiach. We're going to become Mashiach for this kid. We're each going to be the Kohen Gadol. Life now is in a state of Kodesh Kodashim. The first few days, first few weeks. I still remember the first scratch Tiferet got when she was 3.5 months old. I remember where I was, what I was feeling. It was on a piece of fence outside Moshav Yonatan, Chol HaMoed Pesach, and Ari Abramowitz was right behind me, and Mordechai Zela was in front of me. Remember these things, right? All these nikudot, right? But as holy as they are, as long as we're in a body, zez mani. These are temporary things. And then when the neshama comes back to the body, after having these high moments, it says, what happened to you? And the body's saying, you left me. What do you expect? What do you expect happen? What do you expect to happen? I should be able to just stay all good and clean down here when you check out? I'm happy you had a good time. What about me?
Rabbi, if you take it to the next level, could you imagine how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of Yusuf HaShemayim, must be thinking about each one of us? You take it higher. If this is our...
The truth is, I can't imagine it. I'm like thinking about your words as you're saying it. I can't imagine it at all. Alavai. I could imagine that for one split second. Alavai. Alavai. What you're saying is 1 gazillion% true, but I'm just responding to your words. Can I imagine it? No. I can imagine it maybe just based on the first few seconds that I was a father, right? But after that, it's, and Rav Kook is saying you're not supposed to live in that state of imagining it because you wouldn't be able to do anything down here. And you would just judge everyone and you would judge yourself. And then you're toast. You're toast. You killed your year. You're done. So Rav Kook says there's a game here and we have to figure out how to play this game properly. And this is where this Shabbos meets us, of this neshama and guf coming back, forgiving each other, and not just forgiving each other, realizing we could shtim now so much better after the Gilui of Yom Kippur. We could shtim, it could come together so much better. Yes. Why am I so happy? Why am I so happy? Because okay, I'm not going to embarrass you. Go.
It's okay.
Go.
You can embarrass me.
Go. Because every time after Shir, Reb David tells me these in Hebrew we say bombs to the eyebrows. That means, anyone ever hear that? That terminology? No? Or I'm just very old. Ptsatzot lagabot. No, it's Israeli slang. Because you give me these Torahs afterwards, and I'm like, it's so great that you share it with me. But it's like, yalla, no? So, okay.
Yom Kippur is on the 10th, is supernatural, highest level, whereas the Hay is the 15th day of Sukkos, which the 2 legs are grounded on the earth,
No.
a combination of the 2.
Of Yud
And the Hay.
and the Hay together. Chazak me'od. So the Rav Kook ends the second paragraph and says, "Umatchila milchama pnimit gdola umesukenet me'od." An inner war starts raging inside, and friends, it's a dangerous war inside. It's a dangerous war. Ubishvil kach tzricha hatshuva im chefetz zikuch hamidot kodemet la'aliyah ha'istaklutit. Therefore, tshuva, together with a desire to refine, lezakech, to purify my midot, to come before flying up again. We're going to be flying again, Sukkot, Hallel, Hoshana, the whole thing, right? But now, these days are like, wait a second, I'm going to go up again. I'm going to go into the Anani HaKavod. I'm going to go into a sukkah. I'm going to be inviting Avram Avinu and the Baal Shem Tov the first night to my sukkah, right? So therefore, I need this time around, when I go in again, to Anani HaKavod, this time, I'm going in now with an understanding that my body, and it's an interesting thing, that my body physically has to go into something in order to be part of the mitzvah. Huh? Fully. It's like a mikveh again. Nachon. So, Rav Kook continues, ואז מכשירים איזה מגע בין הגוף אל הנשמה, גם בהתעלותה העליונה. And now, you know what you have? You have shalom. You have shalom, you have kashrus, you have a kosher, like I keep on saying the word shtem, even though it's not just a WhatsApp name of a group, it's to shtem. Do you remember what you thought it was? I'm sorry. Shitun. No, shtem. It molds, it meshes, it dances together. It jives. It jives. So Rav Kook continues, the second to bottom paragraph. Hatshuva b'chol ha'alichot ha'ma'asiyot shela. Tshuva, in all of its practical ways of affecting us and living in this world. Im haruach haklalit, with the general spirit, hasholetet be'ikara, bayamim hamiyuchadim letshuva, im godel hato'elet shela lezakech et hanefashot. So this general sense of what tshuva brings to the table, with this amazing advantage and this benefit it gives us to purify ourselves, le'aden et haruach. This is important words. You know what le'aden is? Adinut. Yeah. Gentle. Adina. Yeah. To soften. Yeah. Adin. Le'aden et haruach. To soften the spirit. Usually we think holiness is like, oh, Hashem hu Elokim. Can you imagine going to Shon Yom Kippur and it's like the Chazan says, Shema Yisrael. You'd run out of there, right? Hashem hu Elokim. No, it's Hashem, right? But the tshuva that comes after that is figuring out a way to hear that Shema Yisrael, Baruch Shem, Hashem hu Elokim, with a softening of spirit that makes it possible to live in a body. Le'aden et haruach u'letaher et ha'ma'asim miki'uram. Ki'ur means ugly, mechoar. And to purify actions from their ugliness. Hi mukhrachat liyot sofeget ima. It should be a gimel over there. Sofeget ima eze chulsha shelo nimlat mimena afilu hagibor shehagiborim. Even the most heroic figure that is amazing on the battlefield, coming back home after the battlefield, even for the greatest hero, is a chokhmah and a struggle that everyone goes through. Everyone goes through. You know, when our wives are home all day long with the little kids, whether it's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, whatever it is, and there was one wife came up to me many years ago when we were still down here, by Eli, and she said to me she needs to do tshuva after Yom Kippur, to do tshuva. I said, why? I said, because when her husband came home looking like a malach after Ne'ilah, she wanted to throw a chair at his face. And that smirk that he came home with was when he saw her face, it was over. And she wanted to do tshuva over this between Yom Kippur and Succos. It's a real thing. It's a real inyan. It is. It's a real inyan. But he's saying, forget now an Ezer Kenegdo having to deal with that. Even us, even if it was just us, even if the whole family, your kids are older, the whole family's in shul, you're all dancing together, you know, men on men's side, women on the women's side, everyone's dancing, holding hands, everyone's flying, and it's all beautiful. Even as a family to come back home, even that, he says, even the biggest gibor, the biggest hero, can't avoid dealing with this tension. Afilu hagibor shehagiborim. Who is Rav Kook probably speaking about? He would never say this. Yeah, he would never say such a thing, ever. But of course, he's even saying, listen, it's by everybody. No one, af echad lo patur mizeh. Therefore, the bottom paragraph. Kshemekамצים את הרצון, כשכופפים את עוז החיים על ידי הסלידה הפנימית, I'm not going to translate word for word because it wouldn't even make sense in English. I'm going to give you a general translation afterwards. והנטייה לשוב מכל חטא, מתכמת גם כן הרצון של הטוב. ועוז החיים הטהורים מתחלש גם הוא. This is Rav Kook's very famous analogy of tshuva to chemotherapy. Lo aleinu. How so? Rav Kook writes this in a number of places, and we've learned this before. What does chemo do? What does it kill? Everything. Be'ezrat Hashem. Meaning, Be'ezrat Hashem, it gets rid of. Yeah, and the good we somehow have to nurture again back to life. Nachon. And that's what Rav Kook is saying. He's saying tshuva, when it's real, what's going to happen to you, especially those taivas that were eish taivas that you Be'ezrat Hashem worked through during Elul, the eish taivas, without getting into it too much, those fire passions, fire lusts, when you go through it, and it's for real, Be'ezrat Hashem, you put the fire out of the bad, but after Yom Kippur, hopefully through the Simcha of Sukkos, I have to retrain myself now how to do the fire that's holy. How to do the holy fire again. And that's what happens, he says, a natural thing of you coming out of Yom Kippur, coming out of 40 days of tshuva, is that you're going to be a little bit chalash. Yeah, you're naki, you're cleaner, but you're also kind of weaker in a certain sense. Because you had to put things out, you had to put things away. Huh? Vai avda nefesh, motzei Shabbos, nachon. נמצא האדם סובל מתארוסו המוסריס חולשה כזאת, שסובל חולה שהתרפא על ידי הזרמה אלקטרית חזקה. What does that mean? Radiation. Hazrama electric. That means electric, right? שאומנם גרשה את הארס של מחלתו, Baruch Hashem, it was able to exile out, to kick out the eres, the poison, right? from the machla. Aval ichlisha et hakoach hachai v'habari shebo, but it also weakened like just the life force, right? Al ken, סליחה, אבל חישה את הכוח החי והבריא שבו. שווים על כן ימים של שמחת קודש. So therefore, when we come back into the world, Hashem gave us a lot of physical mitzvahs, such a chesed. We come back in days of simchas kodesh, shel chedvas hanefesh, joy of the heart, joy of the soul, lekomem, and this is an important word, lekomem et haratzon hatov. Before Rav Kook used the word lekametz, kmitza. Doesn't really mean kmitza like we do by the Kohanim, but kmitza, leitkavetz, means to shrink, which is what happened to us during a holy purification. But now it's time lekomem. Harachamanu yakim lanu. Lekomem means to re-erect, to get up again. Komemiut le'artzeinu. Lekomem et haratzon hatov. I want good. I want, like, after Yom Kippur, I'm like, ein od milvado, ein od milvado. I want good. I'm very weak, but I want good. And through these days of going into Sukkot, I want good. I want good. I want good. I want good. Hoshana. That's the elevator back up. That's why Hoshana Rabbah. Till I get to Hoshana Rabbah. Hoshana lemancha. That's the resurrection. That's the re-erecting of this, what Rav Kook calls ratzon. Basic. Just basic what I want in this world. Ve'oz ha'chaim, and the power of life atahor. The puriful power of life as. And this is amazing. This is like how Hasidim held on to Hoshana Rabbah being really the Chasima. To some extent to Chanukah I know, but really Hoshana Rabbah. Really on Hoshana Rabbah we say V'seitiv lanu ha'chasima, that the Chatima should be good for us. As, then. What's then? When I'm able to be back with strength. Right? B'simcha, tia tshuva shlema. Then it's the full circle. But therefore, that's why right now, what's this Shabbos? What's the holiness of this Shabbos? The holiness of this Shabbos is reintroducing me to Tavshin Pei Gimel. That's the truth. It's this Shabbos that I'm really introduced finally to the chidush of the Bria, to what this year is going to be like, and what I'm going to look like as an neshama that's in a body. I get reintroduced to it this Shabbos. This is when I come back into it. This is when I see, wow, it's true. Tola eretz al blima, chai v'kayim nora maram v'kodesh. All the words of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, all the words definitely of Yom Kippur come back in this Shabbos. And I see I'm like, oh, so it's going to be kind of like this. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You understand? I'm not literally that you have to start davening louder, but inside this rhythm is coming back to life. And therefore Rav Kook says, treat yourselves with utmost compassion during these days. These days are mamash, have to be extra compassion, klape kulam, aber b'miuchad klape atzmeinu, mainly towards us. Because of this, like we said, this attempt to re-meet, I don't like to say two parts of us, but for the sake of this Torah, I will say that. Two different parts of us. And then, Be'ezer Hashem, we'll get to the end of Sukkot, and then Rav Kook says the tshuva will be shlema, which means that figuring out how to live now is part of tshuva. I'm not done with tshuva. It's not that Yom Kippur came and now I'm clean. I'm clean from things, but tshuva is much more than just being clean from averas. Tshuva is a way of living. Tshuva is a whole way of life. Remember Rav Kook writes in the Hakdama for Oros HaTshuva? He says, then everyone has spoken about it so much. They've meant the Nevi'im, Hoshea Navi, they've mentioned it, and we see it throughout the Torah, and yet it feels that no one has even begun to speak about it yet. And he says, I'm so freaked out to even be someone that's going to start talking about this, but on the other hand, I cannot pater myself. I can't exempt myself from speaking about the bigger picture of tshuva. So I know, maybe some of us are like, I'm done with that word, Yom Kippur is over. That's if you think tshuva is about just not doing averas anymore. Tshuva is a rhythm. Tshuva is a rhythm, that's what it is. It's getting into the rhythm. A good friend of mine, Cliff, many of you remember him. Clifford, Dr. Clifford Bachner once told me, he says, you know how to play guitar, you should know how to do tshuva. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, you know. Remember what it felt? Remember what it was like to figure out how to. By the way, you know why accordion is called accordion? Because of the word coordination. Because you have to coordinate these two different aspects of yourself. So guitar, like I say this about drummers, like I don't know how they coordinate between the rhythm of their feet and toe, right? And each hand, I don't know how they do that. But then they look at a guitarist and like, I don't understand how they take, two hands that do two completely different avodas, right? 10 fingers, two completely different avodas, right? So we're looking at ourselves, we're like, wait a second, I don't understand how in the world, like the guf and the neshama are supposed to be doing a coordination, a coordinatia. That's what Hashem has in store for us. So he said to me, so you should know how to do tshuva. Because he said, why? He's like, because remember the feeling when you figured out how to do them both together? And I said to him, no. He said, well, that's a shame. Right? If you would have, you'd know how to be a Baal Tshuva, right? More or less. But it's about remembering how to do this. It's about remembering now. So right now we're all becoming Gdolim right now and learning an instrument. That's really what it is. Like this man right now is we're all Kalim, polished out of the shop, Amish, brand new, a Yamaha, whatever you want to call it. And now it's figuring out the rhythm of how these two hands, or in a case of a drummer, the feet, whatever it is, it's all pumping together, but you need, and every musician knows this, you need patience. There was a movie that came out a number of years ago about a guy that lost his mind by trying to become the greatest drummer in the world. I saw it on the plane. I forgot what it's called. Huh? I don't remember. It's he went crazy. That's what Rav Kook says. Don't get crazy trying to learn this instrument. Don't get crazy. You'll figure it out. Trust in what happened in Yom Kippur. Take in the simcha of Sukkot. Maze? Le'aden et haruach. Soften, gentle, adinut, le'aden et haruach. And we should be zolche, all of us, to take advantage of what the Slonim Rebbe calls the holiest Shabbos of the year. All right, Yeshua Koyach, everyone. Thank you so much. Shkoyach.